Research done in France by behavioural psychologists used a very good-looking man, and they put him about a shopping centre, and his goal was to get compliance from women. He had to get their telephone numbers. He had to get as many telephone numbers as he could within the allocated time. And he got 13.5% worth of compliance. The researchers changed their tack and said, okay, we're going to change one thing. Do exactly the same that you were doing before, but stand in front of a flower shop and ask women for their phone numbers. And by doing that, and by framing himself in that context of romance, he doubled the results and got 24% compliance. So, hopefully, with the information that we're going to share today, your sales can all increase by a similar amount or more. So my name is Yara Harcourt. I'm known in the CFA as the focal one, and I started my business, 17 years ago, 2005, at Westonbirt Autumn Fair. But my interest in the psychology of sales started way before then, when I was a ski rep in the French Alps, selling moonlight toboggan trips or raclette evenings, then going on to a summer rep, selling jeep safaris and boat trips, all with varying degrees of success. And then my career saw me, before I went into business, working at Cranfield University as a staff trainer using psychology. Psychology in sales absolutely fascinates me. Imagine our customers. Our customers are at an event because they want to sync up the atmosphere. They want to see their friends. They want to be part of the community. Our job is to take them out of their reverie. Our job as stallholders is to take them out of their reverie and to get them to buy something, get them to focus on us. And to do that, one of the first things as a stallholder is to make eye contact. It seems really banal, but so many of us are sort of behind our stalls doing our thing and not looking out to where we need people to come to us. And the most important, the easiest way to do that is by the eyes. Once you've made your eye contact, obviously you're smiling, and most stallholders will do this anyway. But for new stallholders, you need the unspoken contact of the eyes, the smile, the eyebrow lift, just to get that initial contact. So today we are going to be looking at supermarket secrets, retailer strategies, buying signals from our customers, and buying strategies. But the most important, the most exciting thing, I'm going to be talking with you, the Science of Persuasion. So we're going to look at 6 tools in the Science of Persuasion. So to start with, supermarket secrets. We all know we go to a supermarket, we want to get a loaf of bread. It's at the far end of a huge, massive building, and we have to traipse through all the stores. Supermarkets account for 50% of their sales are down to impulse buys. We all know that we all know it's happening because we say to the woman on we say, gosh, are you paying for a loaf of bread? Your trolley's full, or your arms are full, because you really only wanted the bread, and your arms are still full. That's why you know. They're very clever, to the point where we all smell the bread when we go through the shops. But the reality is, all the bread is made overnight. It's not made in the shop in a day. Bread smells are wafted through the shop just to entice us, just to get us in the mood. but it's all pre-made. Of course, the impulse buys, you've got the multi-buys, the 3 for 2, the buy one, get one frees. They all add up to us spending more time in the shop and spending more money. So, and end caps at the end of stores and the carousels, if you have a store and you're lucky enough to be on a corner, especially a corner that people are walking by, use that corner. The supermarkets account for 100% of sales from their end caps. So many more people buy from the end caps. Or if you have items that don't sell quite so well, try them on the ends because you're going to get a lot more interest. The supermarket thing we all know about, eye level, that is where supermarkets make the most profit. And the bottom shelves are for the supermarket own brands, where there's the least amount of profit. Clearly, we can't do that so well on our stalls because it's a different psychology that's going on. When we're in a supermarket, we're in a different space to when we're walking around stores. When we're walking around stores, especially say at food festivals, that's my area of food, you'll see people walking along, their eyes down, looking at the tables for the fruit tasters. The eyes are completely down, so therefore, change your positioning according to that. And clearly, test. In my time as a fudge seller, so that's 17 years, as someone who is just fascinated by business, but more fascinated by why people do what they do, I think, hey, this market, there's nobody selling soap. I know, I'll make soap, and I'll sell it. I'm seriously one of those people, really annoying. But I don't sell on the same store. I will then find another venue to sell that item. I've made and sold soaps, sandwiches, and salads. Lots of business is en route, but testing different markets because it just really interests me. Music plays a really important part in supermarkets. Don't use it so much now because I think they've got so many messages going that they hone it down. But shops that say sell wines will play 1 week if they need to promote their French wines, they'll play French music. And the sales of the French wines will take off just because of the music. German wines, similar sort of thing. And also music, if you have a sort of more sort of smaller shop, music tends to mean that people stay in the shop 34% more of the time, which is interesting. There was a problem with some youths hanging outside a local shop that they were detracting from other customers coming in. So music was used. It was piped outside of the shop, but it was classical music. And they disappeared overnight, solving the problem. There's another thing about music that I've forgotten, but it'll come. Retailer strategies. We all possibly all remember Benetton when they first started. All their jumpers were folded in long piles, which I remember back in the day. It was a weird way of retailing. Why are they all in piles? You know, everybody else used to hang them up. It's all against to do with psychology because you need to look at a jumper. So you took it out of its tidy, and you lifted it up. So therefore you're touching it. And the words of a retailer, as soon as you touch something, it's halfway to your basket. It's more likely to be on the way to your basket. Now, one trick, or technique if you like, that is really useful, especially if you're selling high-end or more expensive products, is positioning by association. So, take a known product, like a Burberry coat, or a Barber jacket, or some known high-end brand. Put it on a statue on your stall, and then position what you're selling onto it. So handbags, necklaces, scarves, position it onto it, because you're then saying, but you're not, that your product is as exclusive as that other product. But obviously it has to be a product that everybody recognises as being exclusive. But that's a really, I like that one. And also, plinths have a similar sort of idea. So if you have your display and you have a plinth with handbag maybe on top, you're giving star status to that item. It's all unspoken stuff. It's high on the list of this is a very special item, and therefore your price point can reflect that. I'm from Gloucestershire, and Tetbury is a really well-known place for antiques. And one of the I was in a shop, I draw antiques, and I'm wandering about, and I'm in, the antique shops has got lots of different rooms, so I'm wandering around. I'm in one room, and I noticed this plinth with a cat on it, a ceramic tall cat, like an Egyptian sphinx sort of thing. And there was a sign on it that said, rare Egyptian sphinx cat. Didn't have I just carried on. And I was in that shop a long time. As I was leaving the room, I noticed a couple buy it. And they lifted it up, took it away, bought it. And then I happened back in that room about an hour later, and I saw another sphinx. I leave that with you. Price points: £29, £29, £30. I would never have dreamt of using £29.99, or I could use £30. But there's a reason that all the retailers in all the world use the £99.97 price point. It's because it works. The product I sell online more now had a £4 price point for that 17 years. We've just put the prices up, and I said to her, it's going to go up to £5. But then I thought, what am I doing? That's one of the things that the number 5 psychologically doesn't compute well with us. I thought, what am I doing with taking it to 5? That is the number that I cannot do. So we've moved it to £4.99. Time will tell, but I know that £4.99 is going to work better than £5. So if you have any products that are £55 or a number with 55 on the end, just be aware that 5s compute badly with us, because they're neither here nor there. They seem, 5 seems more than, it just doesn't seem to work. Let me know what you think. If you have any products that you're selling at that price point, you may find they move a bit better. Even if you took them up to 69 or 6.99, you may have better results by, bear that in mind. Now, packaging, depending on your price point again, is really, we live in a world where we want to recycle everything and we don't want to pay for packaging. But if I were to go to Hermes and buy a Hermes scarf, And the woman said, yes, darling. This gorgeous silk, hand-painted, very exclusive scarf. There you go. She dropped it in a plastic bag. That would completely alter my reaction to the product. I would say, do you know what, I'm thinking, right, I wouldn't buy it. Because we all know that it's all part of the experience. So if you do have posh packaging for your product, be sure to have it not displayed, but within your customer's eyesight, that they can see that they're going to buy your product and it's going to be part of a ritual, because that's what it is. Packaging is part of a ritual, especially if you're in clothing. The tissue paper, the little sticky to close to tissue paper, and then that put into a bag, and it's the whole ritual, which will first of all stop any or dissuade any returns, because it's part of the experience of it all. If you were to buy a Rembrandt, you probably wouldn't buy it if it was just a canvas and someone stuck it on a wall with some masking tape. So that's what you have to imagine. It's all part of how you frame your brand, yourself, your product, the whole experience. Smells. It's said, depending on the product, obviously, that 30% of people are likely to smell a product. I sell food, so I haven't really noticed that, not to that extent. But I do have people smelling my fudge, only because they think it's a bar of soap, because that's... now, if any of you decide that you want to do a loyalty card scheme, probably was more appropriate to smaller items. We all know the coffee shop thing, you've got 8 slots, and every time you buy a coffee, you get a tick or a stamp or... But if you were to do the same, and you gave your customer a loyalty card with 10 slots on it, but you ticked off 2 of the slots, or stamped out 2 of the slots, psychologically, the customer thinks that, oh, I'm on my way. They very kindly gave me 2 extras. It would work for me. Or gift cards. It's possibly not something that many of you would consider, but I urge you, if someone spent £100 in your store, because they were aware that you were doing a £10 gift voucher, having spent the £100, do you think that might motivate people to try and reach the £100? Yes. So 65% of men who try on a pair of jeans are more likely to buy, compared to 25% of women. So if you're in clothing, you might want to have or encourage people to try on jackets. And when feminine scents are included in a clothing store, sales of female clothes go up. Similarly, with male scents, male items are sold more of. And when you're branding your product, be aware that young people like the energy of bold colours, particularly vivid oranges and red. Think McDonald's. It encourages people to act quickly and leave. And until I realised that, I just wondered why people would come to my store, buy and go, whereas I saw a lot of other stores that sort of hanging around things. And I realised, well, my product's an easy product, it's a clear decision, buy, go. But I think the colours, which are sort of oranges, reds, tend to encourage that more. Pastel colours appear more sophisticated. There's a whole science around the psychology of colours, which I encourage you to look at, particularly if you're starting off and you're looking at your branding. When buying signals, when you are doing your store and the customers are asking you loads of questions, I mean, sometimes you think, why? Just, it gets, after a while, it gets a bit annoying. But actually, questions are a phenomenal thing. That's a buying signal. They're really interested in what you are offering. And that's why they're asking the questions, because, is it vegan? Is it gluten-free? Is it this? Is it... And then the more questions they ask, the nearer they're getting to the goal of getting out their wallet and buying. Questions are a brilliant thing. And body language. We all know about body language subconsciously. But, someone's looking into the store doing this. It's exactly the same. They are really considering your product, and they're nearly there. And when they move closer to you, that's a sign that they feel they have built rapport with you. And that's another sign that they're about to buy. Everybody has a buying strategy, particularly if we have never seen a product before. So, for example, the right kit. I've never seen that before. And first of all, it's interesting to me personally, because I like photography. But for many people, if it's a product you've not seen before, it might take you up to about, it may take you up to about six to 9 times to see it before you decide to buy it. You'll go on social media, look into it. You might need to consult with your partner if that's a good thing. So let's say you're going to buy a new laptop. You almost need a few different mediums to start coming in with, this is it, right? So we all have buying strategies. Don't forget. So don't imagine that someone's coming to your store and will buy immediately, and if they don't, there's something wrong with you. No, we individually have a different buying strategy. And social media can play a very, very important part. Now I'm going to talk to you about the science of persuasion. We're going to look at 6 of these amazing tools. This was the book, this influence, The Power of Persuasion, was written in 1984. And in 1984, social psychology wasn't really a thing. Everybody thought, no, selling a product is you've either got it or you haven't. But this element of psychology shows that you don't need to be a natural salesperson in order to sell. It's all to do with techniques. So if any of you are interested in this, the book Influence by Robert Cialdini is absolutely where it's at. The first principle is the contrast principle. So if you imagine 2 items placed on the store, they're both cashmere scarves. On one pile of cashmere scarves, it says £400. On the other pile of cashmere scarves, it says £200. When we approach it, and we look at them both, and we think, they're very similar. I don't see why the £400 is £400. £200 is much better value. get that, you go to the store, and there's a pile of scarves, cashmere scarves, one pile, and it says, cashmere scarves, £200. You might think, £200 for a cashmere scarf? So, what we're doing in our head in the first example, we're creating an unconscious bias. Be aware of that. We can also do that when we have 3 different price points for similar items on our store. So you might have a cheaper item, an average item, and a more expensive item. And those 3, you'll get different customers buying different things, but you'll find that the middle price item will sell more of. Again, there's an unconscious bias going on. But even if the middle product might, on its own, seem expensive, framed within these 3, it takes on a different meaning. So that was the contrast principle. The second principle is the principle of reciprocation. I sell a food item, and I offer tasters. And folk come and taste my product, and buy my product. I have turned down doing shows during COVID times when we couldn't offer tasters, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to sell as much without people tasting. And it's not because my fudge is the best in the world and tastes phenomenal, same. It is because I am offering someone a gift, and they are reciprocating by buying from me. That's more easily done in food. I'll come on to non-food in a minute. But things have now changed in that at a food festival, I'm thinking of one in particular, it's people are let in the front gates and people just walk along, going past stores, head down, head down, head down, head down, eating. It's very disturbing, but it is, people mustn't be blamed because they are doing what the other people in front of them are doing, and it seems okay. They're not getting told off. That's what they're doing. That's sort of what nothing is registering about the taste. I do know some food people who put chili food. But so the whole thing of I'm giving it to you as a gift isn't quite working anymore. So listen to this as a way of maybe changing that. When you go to a restaurant, the bill comes, and you're offered some mints with your bill. 3 people are eating 3 mints. Here's your bill. By offering mints, the waiter will earn 3% more in tips. Conversely, when the waiter comes and gives 2 each, so 6 mints on the plate, the tips go up by 14%. But when the waiter comes along, 3 mints on the plate with the bill, walks away, turns around, when the waiter does that, so he's personalised the gift, and it's an unexpected gift rather than an expected one from my taster, the tips go up to 23%. I don't know if any of you know Lily from Pitch Socks. She sells lovely socks in boxes. And so you get a special, really nice packaging box when you buy 3. Sometimes people will just buy 2. And what she does, to super effect, she will say, I don't normally do this. I'll put these in a box for you. I normally only do it as a 3. But that results in extraordinary results for her. Folk is so grateful. Because it's personalised and an unexpected gift. So for folk not doing a food-related reciprocation thing, just giving a business card, depending on how you do it, rather than just leaving them there for them to take, can have really good effects. So it's how you interact. There's a really good study of telephone, so a sales coordinator is on the phone, and she's talking with her customers, and she's saying, they sell beef, let's say. She's talking with her regular customers. Listen, John, I just have to tell you, the price of beef, as from next week, is going to go through the roof. I'm only telling you because you're my favourite customer. That goes up. The sales that you would normally do then obviously increase exponentially. So it's how you do the gift. If you're going to get a gift anyway, probably, even if it's a communication gift. Just be aware that reciprocation is very, very strong. Supermarkets, when they do their tasting events, their sales of that particular product go up by 600% a day. So that's why I don't think I could sell a food item without basis. It just wouldn't be lucrative enough. And also, if you, I know not many people here are, there are some people here, but if you are going to offer a food item, I'm really tight, so this comes so difficult for me. Offer large tasters. Because the more, first of all, they can taste the product better, but you will get more of a reciprocal feeling with it. And also, if you are doing food items that require a fork to taste it with, if you're going to use heavy cutlery, because food will taste so much better with heavy cutlery rather than a plastic fork. Oh, it's exciting though! All the psychology that we are surrounded with every day, that we just haven't got. We haven't got the brain capacity to think it through. You know, why is this? Why are the lights working when I turn the switch? It's all shorthand that we all use, but that's why we can get easily persuaded. I was going to say calm, but persuaded. The third principle is the liking principle. There are 3 important factors in the liking. We like people who are similar to us, who pay us compliments, or who cooperate with us towards mutual goals. Mark Twain once said, I can live for 2 months on 1 compliment alone. Compliments, we all think, that's really good. We need to say what we are thinking. Because we're not lying when we say, I love your Coke, glasses, whatever. But saying it to people, first of all, makes their day. And what have we've gained a friend. But yeah, we like people who are like us, basically. So you probably all do this anyway. Imagine you're selling at a hunting, shooting, fishing event. You do well to dress in the way that your customers are dressed. Because you're creating a subconscious, we're all part of this special group, and we have things in common. So be aware of what you're wearing for certain events. Yeah. Yes, that was the liking principle. Oh! I remember one thing from many years ago. A car salesman used to be the best car salesman. If this was American, you would imagine this behaviour in American more than in our country. He was the best salesman, and there was nothing special about him. And people kept coming back to him year after year, and nobody could really fathom why. Every year, he would send a card to his customers saying, "I like you." To us, that was the reason. I can see a lot of people, but there are ways that we can do it that's appropriate to our culture. The fourth principle is the authority principle. I love this one. Think uniforms. We like to trust people who are experts in their field. Think doctors, dentists, watching television for a toothpaste. We are told that this is a phenomenal product by a person wearing a white coat. It doesn't say Jane Smith, dentist. They are merely wearing a white coat. They are an actor, just telling us. Because we are then assuming that this person is an authority. And we can very easily, and we do, very easily get conned, I use that word, by this very technique. But again, this shorthand that we need to communicate, if someone's in a uniform, then we are likely to trust them more and listen to what they have to say. I've overheard a customer once, which is not quite the authority thing, but it goes down to, I had a customer once saying to her husband, they were at a market, and I had a sort of friendly woman, I just bought this phenomenal wooden spoon. The look on his face. And she said, no, it's really amazing. The guy that made it won the best award for wood turning in the Southwest in 2011. So that was his sales thing. He's telling of his authority in his field. So therefore, buying something from someone like that suddenly adds more value to it, it's more authoritative, and you trust the product more. Worth knowing. The more expert somebody is in their field, the better the product should be. One thing I find really annoying, when I go into a hairdresser, I want to be sold to by the expert. They are the expert. What do I know? And when I say to the hairdresser, I say, oh, well, what products do you recommend to your customers? Oh, we're told to do sale. Sorry, from that institute. We're told to upsell, or to, I don't like it, I'm just really uncomfortable about it. And as a customer, I get annoyed because I want to know what's good for my split end, what's going to make my hair look shiny and lovely. I want to know this information. So as sellers, it's our job to impart the information. If the customer's not interested, you can tell by their body language they're just not interested. But uniforms. So if I work, for example, selling any sort of beauty, I will probably wear a white coat. If I was selling, or let me tell you an example of, I saw someone selling some macaroons at a market in Newcastle. And it's a phenomenal market. It was in a train station in Newcastle somewhere, and loads of people about. There was one stall selling macaroons and a huge queue. I just thought, that's strange. They were only selling macaroons. And I sort of stood by and was just trying to listen to the spiel, listen to what was going on in this particular spiel. And the seller wore, from top to bottom, chef's whites. So he wore a little funny hat, white top, white trousers, the whole caboodle. But not only that, he had a French accent. So whether he was or whether he wasn't, he wasn't called Jean-Pierre, but it all adds to the frame that he had a phenomenal tune. And his products were really expensive, but good on him. So when I see fellow food sellers selling with an apron on, I know that they don't realise the significance of their apron, quite often because the apron is just something to take into home. It's rubbishy looking. I think they think that they need to wear it because they're selling food. But if they just took it to another level, maybe even wore a white, pristine white apron, they would have a different effect. On the authority principle, this particular example is more related if you have your own business and you're doing a lot of telephone stuff. Imagine the scenario when, if you're selling houses, for example, and the person on reception answers the phone, yes, I want to buy a house. Ah, yes, I will put you through to John, who's had 20 years' experience in the field of selling houses. Or if it's the lettings department, I will put you through to Josephine, who has had 15 years' experience in the lettings department. When a test was done like that, then it's obviously the person on the phone is going to benefit from her recommendation, and we as customers know this. There was a 20% increase in appointments made with these sellers, and there was a 15% increase in signed contracts. And the only thing that was different was the receptionist saying how brilliant, or all the experience, showing the authority of the people that she worked for. Gosh, it's so simple, isn't it? If you can increase your sales that much. So maybe, and sometimes when stallholders say to customers who come to my store, oh, you should try it, it's really fantastic. That also has an effect. Little bit I don't know. But, so just think how maybe you could use that if you're trying to promote someone else. So the penultimate one is the scarcity principle, which we will all know intuitively. The less there is of something, the more we want of it. You know, only a few left, last bucks last. Going back to our antique dealer with his rare item, only one left. It works. And our last one is social proof. Think Facebook, think Instagram, think likes, think hearts. If others can do it, therefore it must be okay to do. Roger Ballard in 1954 broke the 4-minute mile. Before then, nobody had done it because it was considered impossible. So nobody tried. Since then, over 2,000 people, or around 2,000 people, have now conquered the 4-minute mile. And I'm sure it's nothing to do with that people become physically more able. It's because it's now possible to do. Actually, I remember, I would say this, but I can't remember the details. Elon Musk recently, in his autobiography, said that, I think, don't quote me on this, it was something to do with time travel or something like that. And he said that's impossible because he's a physicist. And it's not quite time travel, but it was similar to that. He said it's impossible. And he said, I wish I had not said it's impossible, because by very saying that, it stops people from trying. And since then, someone has come in to prove certain physics may be possible. it goes back to that, American is saying, if you believe it to be true, it will be. Or if you believe it's not possible, it will be. Reviews are incredibly important, and a lot of us are, Facebook, Instagram. The way to get Facebook likes, or the way to get social proof, is to ask your customers for it. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. I mean, some of you may remember Danny, who used to fudge it with me. It was only him doing so that I even thought it was a thing. He said, oh, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs up. And the extraordinary amount of people who would give us a thumbs up. And it's because of his efforts in actually asking, where for me, I had no interest at all. We've got over 5,000 likes. And just having likes on one of these social platforms mean it's a shorthand for people to come to your website, Instagram, whatever, and see that other people think it's great, so therefore it is great. And this statistic will shock you. 97% of people who buy things today, obviously if they're a higher price, will look at the reviews for that company before they spend the money. I mean, 97% of people, you couldn't even say that believe the world is round. But that is how important it has become in our lives. So there we have it. Never underestimate the importance of psychology on a market story. And use it to increase your sales and position your brand. Thank you very much.